As soon as we crossed the line to start the race, a Velo Kings rider attacked. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. We increased the number of riders over last week by 50% to 30. Last week, I got dropped on the first climb of the first lap that we're heading to now, and though I would love to stay connected on the climb this time, this week's pack is considerably stronger. One of the things I learned from last week's race is, when I start the climb, don't be toward the back. This time I was at sixth wheel. Okay, seventh right now. I'm doing better at that 180, but I'm still creating a gap and still having to put over 600 watts out to initiate a reconnection. Now, having 30 people in the group and me being in the position that I am, I can now kind of float back if I need to float back. And I may need that since another Velo Kings rider attacked to get up to that first Velo Kings rider so they can form a two-man break. And that was Alex, I believe. Well, I'm still putting out some fairly big watts for me on this climb as we're getting toward the end of this climb. I am pretty thankful that the rest of the pack has not reacted to Alex's jumping away. All of a sudden, there's another attack. And actually, that's Alex. So who the previous person was, I don't know, maybe that was Richard. So now everybody's starting to attack. And last week, this is where I would get spit out the back. This week, however, I'm surviving this so far. Even though stressed, I recognize the improvement over last week. The benefit of having electronics and cameras all around me is not only seeing what I missed, but what's happening to me. It used to be 2 years ago that my max heart rate was 164. Looking at the data from this race, I'm thinking it's dropped even more. And I remember when my heart rate used to be over 200. So as what I'll call the defense mechanism of the body, as one gets older, the latency period between beats, the minimum latency period, increases. If my max was still 164, I have plenty of room in which I can still survive, but it's not. And right now they're just pulling away from me. Now I'm thinking I'm pretty much the last person in the line, and I've forgotten about all the others because I'm in such a hypoxic state. So when one person goes by, I'm thinking, oh man, this is it. I just got to keep digging. Well, there's quite a few people behind me still, and they seem to be having an easier time since I'm pulling at the front. So technically I survived the climb, but now I'm getting killed right after the climb. My heart rate shows at about 156, 155 right now, and the highest it was at this point was 157. So that may be my max right now. It may be a temporary max, so as I get into better form, it'll go up a few beeps. Maybe it'll go back up to a little over 160. But for right now, it seems to be tapping out at 157 as it is right now. So I am still pushing the watts. I'm thinking maybe I can get onto somebody's wheel. Still, I'm not looking behind me, and still I'm thinking I'm pretty much the last person in line. Oh, look at that. My heart rate's at 158. Okay, so pretty much I'm not thinking, I'm just reacting. People are going by, and I'm trying to get on a wheel, but they're just going by so fast relative to what I'm doing. And I'm still doing, well, I was doing 300 watts, and now it's 200s, and it looks like I'm just trying to settle into something. Maybe they'll slow up. If they slow up, then yes, I can attach. Jumping forward a bit, I had kept on the power in hopes that I'd eventually catch up to somebody that got spit out the back. But I finally turned around and saw there were a couple riders back there, so rather than trying to fight them, I waited for them so that we can all work together. And when they came by pretty strong. And so I saw why they came by pretty strong. That was an old teammate of mine. Some of my long-term viewers may remember him, the Glass Man. He was joined by another new friend that I often make in breaks like these, Chelsea. This is the first time I've seen her, and I was impressed because this girl's got some game. She never let up. She came through strong, and I had to make sure I was hugging my top tube right on her wheel because she was not a big draft, but had a lot of power. After a rotation, we caught up to Junior Ben. You may remember him from last week, and last week's video race I'll have in the description below. I was thankful he was there because the Chelsea-Brent combination was a pretty strong group, and I could use the extra rest. After Chelsea was done with her pull, I took mine. In the meantime, it seems that the Glass Man is thinking that we're just not going fast enough, so he goes to the front and starts putting in more speed. So even though I'm on his wheel, I'm putting in a lot more watts than I'm thinking, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this up for 4 more laps. For the moment, turn your attention to the insert screen in the upper right-hand corner and take a look at Junior Ben. Notice how far he is from my wheel, and of course that's a comfort thing, I'm sure. But also notice that how high he's sitting, even though he's in the drops. Flick your elbow when you're ready.
I did.
Okay, thank you. could wait a little longer. Last one. For your protection. Get in the drops to lower yourself, better aerodynamics. There you go. Hopefully you'll notice you're not working quite as hard. Get on that wheel. As we come around again, the lap card is showing 2, as it should. 2 laps to go. Now we're down to the original break of 3. Chelsea, Junior Ben, and myself. Chelsea is still pulling nice and strong. She has never deviated. When I was speaking to her after the race, things started to make sense a little bit. She's new to the area. She's a Cat 2 who hasn't been racing for quite a while, and she's getting back into it. Jumping forward a bit, we are about a mile away from the start of the last lap. Junior Ben wants to put a little spice into things, and so takes a jump. By now you all know I have no jump, so I gotta diesel my way back up to him. He stays on the gas, and it takes a while for me to reconnect. And when I do, he's still pushing the watts. I'm going to diverge for a moment while I'm chasing Junior Ben. I am within 3 months of my 66th birthday. I am getting pounded in these practice races such that it takes a lot of mental fortitude for me to keep coming back out here. Same thing for regular racing. This Saturday, one of the races I'll be doing is in the 35-45 3s-4s group. I'm going to get pounded in that too. Why do I keep doing it? Well, because it still gives me value. When I finally do one of my older age-specific races, I'll be a little stronger just because of what I'm doing now. And speaking of that older age-specific category, that'd be 65 plus, and there's very few of those. The best I can usually hope for is 60 plus, and usually combined with a 55 plus. And let me tell you, being 66 racing in a 60 plus is a lot harder than being 36 racing in a 30 plus. As I'm getting older and still wanting to race, it's kind of like looking for a house to buy. I'm being priced out of the market, but it is what it is. Back to the action. Unbeknownst to me, due to confusion in the lap cards, this apparently is the last lap. Chelsea, who you can see in the insert, makes the move and sustains it, and she takes the group sprint. You know, when you're at the back of the bus, things can happen to you that are just beyond your control. I'm just happy to be racing. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Always remember these eternal words. Comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.